don't take things for granted.
I would say build relationships. One-on-one relationships.
No matter what anyone else says, do what makes you happy.
I would encourage people to really figure out what they like to do and then pursue that.
And to try new things.
I don't know. Probably not. Just born here. You were just raised to know that you're supposed to be proud because you're supposed to be in America, but haven't experienced anywhere else, so wouldn't really know. I don't think our generation is going to do well. That's because we're too lazy, and we don't have any respect for anything, and it affects everyone every day. I mean, no matter what you do, I mean, walking into a store, I mean, I may have red hair, and it's automatically, he's a ginger, and the whole no soul thing. It's everything. The branding and the attempt to control the conscience of others is again a history with which America has probably a pretty profound place in the national scene. I mean, take for instance Edward Bernays' role, his role in World War I in galvanizing the U.S. public to demonize the Germans. That itself is what Hitler writes and talks about in Mein Kampf as to the reason why the Germans in the Nazi Party rose into power. What, do I believe in patterning, taking a shortcut to finding out answers to which that have a greater degree of truth to them? But it's a shortcut something? Just follow a pattern? Yeah, but it's natural to the human condition. So stereotyping, for example, is just a pattern response to something. Something to which you may have been taught as a way to respond, but it's not fair and genuine to the issues at hand. And this is just part of the human condition. If we can't spend all of our day knowing and seeing and embracing that in our memory, everything that we observe. So these pattern recognition traits of ours are in step with taking a shortcut, finding out ways to get things done. So what is important here is what we figure out how to unknow. How do you unknow a stereotype? And that is something that scares me about our society, is that in many ways we've forgotten how to unknow. We've forgotten how to unknow the American dream, for example. What's my American dream? I just want to have a house in the countryside where it's not overly populated. I have a nice family and enough money so I don't have to worry about if I have to pay for groceries or I have to pay for bills. I actually have a lot of worries because I didn't want to go into the real world with like $28,000 or more dollars in debt. I mean, that's a big hole to get out of, and it's very scary to think that, to hope that there'll be jobs, there'll be more jobs available, but right now I just don't see myself getting a job in anything that would be part of a major I would get, of course, because it's so competitive, that you have to be perfect to get a job like that, a good job. So, I mean, it's tough, but I think we'll be fine. I mean, we go through like 30-year periods, I think. Like, if you look at the 1920s and you look at the 1950s, they're very similar. They're prosperous. Then if you look at the 30s and the 60s, completely, like it goes through cycles, and I think we're just at the bottom part of that cycle. The American dream to me is the ability to live life as it was written in the Declaration of Independence, the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think that for a lot of people that is equated with money, and I don't think that necessarily is the case. I think money helps, it's helpful, but happiness is where you find it. So you can find happiness, you can find liberty, you can find life. Find your American dream without money. So I think that for most people, they found it. They just don't realize it because they don't have a Bentley in the driveway.
I worry about the direction that I see America going towards socialism and the European models of socialism. I think that when the founding fathers drafted the groundwork for our country, that's not what they saw. And it concerns me that we will all lose something that we got to partake of before the switch to globalization, socialism-based government. I hope that it goes in a different direction. I have hope that there are people with vision that can see us out of it. But that would be my main thing. I don't worry about the economy. The economies are cyclical. Things will come, things will go. I don't worry about jobs. Again, cyclical. They always find it's like water. You put it in, you tip it, and it always finds its level. And I think it'll all sort itself out. But I do worry that our model of life is gone. And I worry a little bit about the escalation of nuclear war going on with Iran. That worries me. And it doesn't keep me up at night, but it is something to watch. And I don't think it's a global threat, but I think it's a local threat for them. And that means that someone's got to go in and stop them. And it always ends up to be us. So that worries me. But I think I worry more about the fact that something is going to be lost. That when the kids, when they're older and they come to talk to your dad and I, and they say, so what was it like when we didn't have government-based healthcare? So I think that worry is what I worry the most about.
I really feel like our generation doesn't care as much as future generations, past generations. Because in the past, when something pissed people off, they protested about it. And kids today were just like, nothing we can do about it. And we don't care, we don't do anything, we just don't have that spark, that will to change that I think that past generations had. And so, Abe and I are planning to move to Canada. We don't want to be American anymore. Well, the healthcare system is my 100%, one of my number one reasons. Number two would be the crap that police and law enforcement get away with that they shouldn't. And I'm more of a socialist, and Canada has more of a socialist government. I would be A-okay with paying more taxes and having there be better health care for everyone and just a better quality of life. I mean, America is so me, and they don't give a shit about anybody else, so I would rather be in a country that's more socialist. I think they'll go for civil unrest. We had something will have to jar this country to bring us back to appreciate what we have. And you don't appreciate it till you don't have it. Our political system, the two parties can't. It used to be when I was younger, and yes, we had the two-party system, but if the Democrats came up with something good, the Republicans would recognize that. I'm not either, by the way. I'm independent. But today, they're definitely afraid that you'll get credit for it and we won't, or you'll think of something better so we can't do it if it's not my party. That isn't caring about the American people. We need a government that cares about us as individuals and not the political party. The biggest thing we need to get rid of in this country is greed. That's our biggest problem. Well, yes, get rid of that because how much is driven by greed. Everything, you have to have so much money to do a job, you have to have so much, it's just, and you don't have to have near that much. Just live simpler. But I think we'll go through unrest, civil unrest, before we ever learn to appreciate what we have. I didn't hear anything over one question, so I think the kids these days have a tendency to try to slide through school, or they're trying to find too much outside help. They come home to do their homework, they're diving into the internet, searching the answers, rather than searching out the answers themselves. I think the future kids these days are seeing the mistakes that this generation, this time period has made, and I think they're gonna help it along. I mean, kids are a little sluggish and they're hard to get motivated, but they are gonna eventually have to look at themselves when they hit, 40 and see the state their country's in, and they're gonna have to make some tough decisions, but I think they can do it. Vote Republican. That's not good advice. Oh, I thought it was. And why did I get different questions? Actually, no. We have really stepped it in a, you're going to clean this up, right? There are things we have done that I wish we hadn't. There are things we should have done, but I don't agree with the way we have done them. On the other side of that, we're like the popular kid in class, because we're the ones out there. First time we mess up, everybody points their finger at them. Been there, done that. It's okay to say, you know what, I goofed, or you know what, I made this decision, maybe it wasn't the right one, but at the time it was. And it's okay to change your mind. I changed my mind several times before I reached 52 and said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do for school. It's okay. If nothing else, it broadens your perspective. It broadens your awareness. Living with my mother and my brother who live in this little cornerstone of a 900 square foot house, they have no perspective of the outside world, and it's crippling them into a blind state. Don't be afraid to try. You're not failing. The fact that you tried doesn't make you failing.
Vote Republican.
Push yourself for what you think you are able to accomplish.
Get out and enjoy life. Don't let it pass by because it's very short.
Believe in yourself.
Don't just believe always exactly what you see or exactly what you hear. Don't be afraid to think, well, why?
We have to get to know each other again and know what makes the other one tick and actually spend time just doing simple things. We need to be quiet and learn to know each other.
I think that's the best advice that I can give. Yeah. Just work hard. Work together.